Every ancient civilization spoke of monsters, dragons that ruled the skies, giants that shook the earth, and shapeshifters that defied nature itself. We dismiss them as myths. But what if they weren't? Archaeologists keep uncovering clues that hint at something darker, something real. Could the legends of monstrous beings be echoes of terrifying truths buried in our past? Let's start with the most familiar of all myth monsters, dragons. These serpent abominations appear in nearly every culture on this earth, from medieval Europe's fire-breathing monsters to ancient China's wise, friendly snakes. European dragons were flying reptile monsters who guarded treasure and devoured knights, while Chinese dragons controlled the weather and luck. The striking consistency of global dragon myths suggests that they must have had a single source. Researchers believe early humans discovered giant fossil dinosaur bones and developed advanced myths from these ancient bones. They also discovered real animals like Komodo dragons, 10-foot-long monitor lizards with lethal bites, presumably behind these legends. The manner in which these monitor lizards stride along on their hind legs and whip their forked tongues is similar to old dragon depictions. Dragons rule the roost in modern popular culture. Smaug in The Hobbit, Daenerys' dragon guard in Game of Thrones, and the fantasy dragons in Harry Potter all keep dragons' hold on our fantasy strong, indicating that certain legends are not. But in the times when dragons dominated the skies, deep down in North America's snow woods, legend told of a monstrosity bred of starvation itself, the Wendigo. The Wendigo occupies the Algonquian-speaking group's mythology all around the Great Lakes. It was a skinny giant with yellow fangs to the gums, bright shining eyes in the dark, and an insatiable appetite for men's flesh. It was claimed to be the devil that drove human beings out of their minds during severe winters, such that they consumed their own. Legend was that whoever turned to cannibalism would become a Wendigo, forever cursed to roam the woods, growing bigger but never content. The beast was 15 feet tall, its putrid flesh covering bony mounds, and it breathed a reek of death. The Wendigo likely developed from the brutal conditions of existence in brutal Canadian winters. With scarce food and solitude driving individuals to desperation, a few did practice cannibalism. The psychic shock and cultural shame of committing such a thing created a monster legend that was both explanation and warning for the horrors. Modern horror has embraced the Wendigo with open arms. The creature terrorizes gamers in Until Dawn, overtakes screens in a full slate of horror films, and is a staple of creepypastas and internet urban legends. On the other side of the ocean, another snake monster was slithering through Spanish cities, El Gran Maja. The Spanish mountain regions have tales of El Gran Maja, an enormous snake that swallowed animals whole. The 16th and 17th centuries' histories in the past tell of its fight with gigantic snakes in the Pyrenees, some of whom reportedly were more than 30 feet in length. Local myth had colored El Gran Maja as a sage monster that could hypnotize its victims with its eyes and travel at supernatural speeds despite its gigantic size. Villagers spoke of how the creature had armor plating and moon-colored eyes. It was said to dwell in massive caves, venturing out to hunt only on darkest nights. Reality likely consists of encounters with very large European adders or fickle exotic constrictors let loose in the wild. During colonial Spanish times, there were vessels returning from the Americas that had on board enormous pythons and boas, which sometimes broke free into the countryside. These alien snakes, relishing the warm climate of Spain, could get very huge and would have seemed absolutely enormous to individuals who were not accustomed to such animals. El Gran Maja still features in regional Spanish folklore and literature, as silent as ever in regional imagination. From Spanish snakes, our journey takes us to the highest peaks of our planet, where snow traces speak of yet another cryptic giant, the Yeti. Up in the Himalayas, Sherpa adventurers speak of the Yeti, the abominable snowman. In the Pacific, The Native American cultures and modern-day cryptozoologists look for Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest's dense forests. Both are written about in terms that are very nearly the same. 8-foot-tall, ape-like beings with coats of thick fur covering their bodies, possessing great strength and a mystical ability to vanish. Tibetan legend includes the Yeti as an undomesticated mountain man, and Sasquatch mythology is found among numerous Native American tribes, a forest giant who avoids human beings. Footprint casts, bad pictures, and first-hand testimony have inspired 50 years of hunting and investigation. Scientific reports contain faulty bear identifications. Two-legged Himalayan brown bears are very much like Yeti accounts in appearance, and two-legged black North American bears can easily be confused with Bigfoot, particularly under poor light conditions or in the distance. The animals receive immense cultural exposure, from the children's film Harry and the Hendersons to several documentaries and the constant flow of internet memes. Yeti and Bigfoot represent our desire for untapped knowledge. Talking about animals that capture our imagination, few myths sparkle with such light as the phoenix. The phoenix, the firebird of rebirth, flies its way through mythic lore from ancient Egypt to ancient Greece. A truly stunning bird with red and gold feathers, the phoenix lived for centuries before building a pyre of scented spices and dying in flames from the fire, only to be reborn anew from its own ashes. Egyptian priests equated the phoenix with their sun god Ra and the recurrent flooding of the Nile, a death and rebirth cycle sustaining their civilization. Greek historians like Herodotus wrote roseate accounts of how the phoenix appeared, claiming that it appeared in Egypt every 500 years. The phoenix myth likely arose from the sight of the sun each day dying at night and being reborn in the morning. And secondly, birds like flamingos and cranes came in cycles that could have appeared cyclical to ancient intelligence, disappearing for a few years before returning in magnificent flocks. Contemporary culture appropriates the phoenix as a metaphor for change and survival. From the Harry Potter fox to X-Men's Jean Grey Phoenix alter ego, the Firebird continues to be a touchstone for stories of atonement and supernatural power. And our last beast offers no change, a mere harsh promise of death itself, the Banshee. No shriek in Ireland is as terrifying as the scream of a banshee. You are fast asleep when you hear the cry of a woman through the darkness, who is not singing nor yelling, but sobbing. You look out into the darkness, and there she is, long gray locks, white billowing gown, washing bloody wash by the river. She's sobbing over someone who is going to be killed, and that someone might be you. Irish kin thought their family lines contained banshees, ghostly figures from their line that followed them wherever they went, even overseas. They appeared as beautiful maidens to one, ugly hags to another, but never in intention. They wailed the dying before they died. The Banshee legend is based on Ireland's ancient funeral practices. There were professional mourners called keeners who were hired to cry and howl at funerals. It was a job requirement that they be capable of crying. These real women, over time, transformed in folklore into supernatural creatures whose screams foretold death rather than followed it. Banshees never fell into oblivion. They appear again and again in the television show Supernatural, are the leads in horror films, and are the inspirations of folk artists across the globe. That dreadful shriek continues to reverberate in our dreams, reminding us that certain sounds heard are never forgotten.